Have you ever wondered whenever you watch the news and they talk about some young 20 something year old guy or girl becoming an overnight success? They go from zero to billionaire status in a matter of 2 years or 3 years. The media loves to praise and promote entrepreneurship in that way, but the truth of the matter is, oftentimes, these folks or these companies are not overnight success. There's a lot that's happened way before they even make it to the front of your TV. And also there's a journey. You never hear about that. And I think for a lot of other entrepreneurs, it's a good thing if you actually knew how these people get from zero to now, multi-millionaire or building $1 billion company. And so that's what I want to do with this series that I'm making. How's it going? If you're new to the channel, my name is Mike Ojo. I am an aviator, entrepreneur, and most recently, a startup founder. And I thought to myself that while I'm taking on this train for the fourth or fifth time, I think it would be great if I actually documented it. One, for my kids, because I'm a dad now, and I thought, well, if I can leave my children with something valuable, it will be step by step on how I built something, whether it makes it to the skies or goes down to zero, right? But I hope that this video and the rest of this series actually helps somebody. And just to show you, I am talking to you in the rawest form possible. There's no notes, nothing. And I'm also recording on my cell phone. So this is as natural as you'll get it. Okay, so to jump right into it, I recently founded a company called Air Mojo. I'm in the aviation space, and essentially what Air Mojo is, it's a marketplace that allows pilots to share their aircraft. Now, when you're building a company or a startup, typically you'd have a problem that you want to solve. You'd hope that that solution, you're able to scale it to at least a decent market size. And that way you can either raise money, or if you don't raise money, you can fund it yourself. Speaking of my journey, it's been 2 years now. So making this video is pretty much 2 years later. We still haven't launched yet. Again, just to show you the amount of time and distance it could take from idea phase to actually putting a product to market. What we're building is a marketplace that would allow pilots and owners to share their aircraft, and not just the aircraft, but what we want is to be able to share the costs. If you are outside of this space, you can talk to any pilots or owners. The cost of an airplane, it can be very expensive. Just the capital cost, the upfront cost, but then also there's an ownership cost. You have both fixed and variable costs when it comes to owning and operating an airplane. For a lot of owners, they may not talk about it, but I'm an owner myself and I know how much it costs. Whether you fly the airplane or not, it still costs you a pretty penny. The goal here is, one, to be able to spread that cost among several people instead of just one person. Then also to allow those who are pilots or students to get access to a safe airplane that they wouldn't have been able to before. Because right now, the only access you would have to an airplane, and with airplanes, we're speaking specifically of smaller piston engine airplanes or fixed wing. Right now, as I said, if you're looking to get access or rent an airplane, your only option is to go to a local flight school at a closed and gated airport. It's a daunting task. And then flight schools generally fly decade-old airplanes with analog, just old technology. The solution here is that we give access to newer airplanes, safer airplanes, and at a lower cost. And the way we're able to do that is because when you're leasing from another owner, for example, they don't necessarily have the overhead costs that a flight school will have, which they then spread back to you. So you'd be getting and renting the airplane at a lower cost. So that's one of our main goals here. And that's what I hope to put out to market and have it adopted by the masses. Now, how do I go from idea phase to even building a product and then possibly raising some money and then marketing and all of the other stuff that comes with this? So I first had this idea about 3 years ago. Just full disclosure, this was not even my idea. There's so many people who think about this, but no one has really taken the step forward. Now, there's been companies who have tried to solve this problem. Most of them has failed. or have failed. As a matter of fact, one of the companies or startups that tried to solve this problem a few years ago, called Open Airplanes, they did decently well, but then the company tanked. I'm actually friends with the founder of that company, and part of my process was to reach out to them and find out what mistakes they made and what issues that they saw when they try to build this thing. Now, obviously, fast forward years later, I believe that we're in a better position to solve that same problem because we have more resources, I would say. And by resources, I don't even mean just capital. Capital is always important, but there's a lot more that goes into building a company than just raising money. You need expertise, you need relationships within that industry, you need access of some sort to at least the decision makers in that industry, and I believe we have that. So moving forward, I had this idea. I'm in a very unique position because I have a brand that's well known in this space, the aviation community, called Mojo Group. And what that allows for me personally is access to a lot of pilots. So, and I travel a lot. As a matter of fact, right now, I'm not home, which is why I'm making this video also on my phone, because I don't have my proper camera setup here. But that said, I get to talk to pilots often. And so getting to know pilots on a personal level or friendly level has also allowed me to create content for other pilots. So in a way, I've been able to build sort of a marketing platform, a trusted platform that a lot of pilots already tune in to watch. And then on the flip side also, that platform has allowed me to start other businesses in the aviation space. For example, I'm a partner in a dealership in North Carolina, and also I'm a partner in a flight school, and also I'm a partner in a aircraft marketplace where you can buy and sell airplanes. So all of these things are strategic on my part because it allows me to, one, get more knowledge of what's going on with all of these in and outs of the business or the industry. So for example, when it comes to aircraft sales, I know quite a bit. When it comes to building airplanes, I know quite a bit. When it comes to running a flight school, I know quite a bit. Meaning when it comes to training other pilots and new pilots to fly, I know quite a bit. Partly also going through the process myself as a student pilot. Once you get on the business side of things, you learn a lot more about logistics and insurance and litigation and all of the laws that pertains to flying and operating an aircraft. Well, I've been able to garner all of these knowledge and data for the last couple of years, which has now allowed us to, okay, let's build something, or let's build a marketplace now where we can infuse all of these things that we know. That was my research. So for example, for you, if you have an idea, it would do you very good to do some research, get to know your market or the community that you're looking to serve or create a solution for, and then get to know the people, which brings me to my next phase, which is capital. Dinero, necesito dinero. You need money to run a startup or to build one from scratch. Generally speaking, when it comes to raising money, at least this is my experience so far, things you need to keep in mind, and here's some abbreviation I will share with you in the startup world. You have what's called an MVP. So you need your minimal viable product, which you would need to build. I'm making this video specifically to the tech industry because the startup we're building is in the tech space. So you need a minimum viable product. You need to know what your CAC is, which is cost of acquisition of each customer. And then you have a CLV, which is your customer lifetime value. So these three things are important. You can note them down or come back to watch this video. MVP, minimum viable product, CAC, cost of acquisition, and then customer lifetime value, your CLV. You keep these three things in mind and build around them. That would allow you to create a better pitch when you're looking to raise money. When you're building a startup, you don't necessarily have to raise money. Generally speaking, there's stages to fundraising. So the first stage is what you call your seed round. And a seed round, if you're going through private money or venture capitalists, those usually are around $500,000. That's what you would raise, and they will value your company at some X $1 million based on you, your team, your MVP, if you have one. That's typically how it goes. But if you're not going through the private money channel. You can always raise seed fund either by yourself, meaning use your own money. You can raise it through family and friends. If they believe in your idea and they believe in you, you can raise that money through family and friends. Now, that said, you also have to keep in mind that 90 or over 90% of all startups fail. That's just the unfortunate stat. So keep that in mind. Now, when you go about raising money, I've been through this channel myself. The last startup that I worked on was 7 years ago, and it didn't work out well. And there was a lot of things that I learned from that experience. The first thing really is that I used my own funds and my own personal savings to run the startup. I highly discourage that. Now, obviously, it depends on where you are in your life. When I did that back then, I was pretty much a bachelor. I mean, I had a girlfriend. I wasn't really financially responsible for anyone but myself. So it allowed the freedom to be able to use my own personal savings to fund a startup. Now, fast forward 7 years later, I'm married, wife, kids, a lot more responsibility. It would not be a good idea for me to just use our personal savings to build a startup. I highly discourage it. The truth of the matter is, there is money out there. If you know the right people, there's money out there that's looking to invest in whatever it is that you're building, but you just have to learn on how to navigate that channel, which brings me to my next thing. So with the venture capitalists that we're working with, I've pretty much been courting them for the last 2 years. And I was lucky enough to know somebody in the space that knew somebody that then introduced me to a venture capitalist. Initially, it was just on a very casual level. We would talk, I would just tell them about my idea, and they would just say, okay, keep me posted on what you're doing. And as time went on, I built on it and just kept updating my venture capitalists, right? Now, there are other ways to raise money. You could join an accelerator, which is always, to me, the primary way. Join a program where you have the resources and the coaching to build your MVP, to build your team. And then at the end of the program, you actually get to pitch your company to investors, and that way you can raise money that way. Airbnb is a popular company that went that route. There's a lot of companies that are worth billions of dollars today that's how they did it. There's that way. But if you happen to know somebody, which is why, again, I encourage you to put yourself out there, build relationships, because at the end of the day, when it comes to these things, it is a people's business, very similar to real estate. So when you get to know people, talk about your idea openly. That's something I've done for the last 3 years. I've just talked about it. Now, obviously, you have the fear of, someone stealing your idea, whatever the case may be. Here's what I now know. The chances of somebody actually running and stealing your idea is very small. Everyone has an idea, but to actually dedicate yourself to something and execute perfectly, it's very hard. And most people will not do that, or they can try and fail at it. So when you have a great idea, I think just give yourself the freedom to talk about your idea openly. One, it makes it more real for you. And in my experience, it's a motivator. Every time I talk about Air Mojo, or back then when it was just an idea phase, every time I talked about it to friends, whether I'm at a dinner party or whatever, it makes it more real for me, and it motivates me to work on it. And guess what? I also get really real-time feedback from folks who are not aviators or other folks who are actual pilots, and they give me proper feedback on how to structure this and that. It would not hurt. I think it would give you more value when you openly talk about your idea than when you don't. And then the last part of that is you may be talking to an investor. You don't know who you're going to be connected with at some point to actually help you bring this idea to fruition. I highly recommend that, and it's what worked out for me. So there you go. That's really how raising money works, at least in this journey that I've been taking. I was able to build some level of relationship with my investor. Right now, we now have an MVP. As of the time that I'm making this video, I have not raised 1 penny from outside sources. I've been able to build the MVP. So we have a website, a mobile app, and we're now in the beta testing phase, working the other background stuff to bring this to market. by the end of July. All of that has been out of pocket. Now I'm able to fund that outside of taking care of my family. Again, if you have the resources to do that, then go ahead. While we're in this beta testing phase now, I am getting close to raising a seed round with my investor. So again, you can slice and dice it, however you need to, depending on your situation. But also you can raise, if you have and know an investor who's willing to bet on you, you can raise money way before now and actually use that seed round to build your MVP and to build whatever it is that you need to put this product to market. But the important key is to know an investor or have access to one. And again, generally speaking, these are done through relationships. Don't be afraid about talking about your ideas. I'm gonna end this video here. I hope that you've gotten something now. Again, I'm gonna build a series out of this. As a matter of fact, right now I am on the road and I'm meeting with my investor and also meeting with some of the parties involved in supplying us with some airplanes for Air Mojo. That will allow us to move forward with our beta testing in a few weeks. So again, my goal is to update y'all. I'll have my phone on me, so I'll continue to make these videos. I hope that this is valuable for somebody. I hope that's you. And if that's the case, make sure you give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel with the notification bell on. I'm not sure how often I'm going to update the channel moving forward, but at least I will make these videos. So when I get time to edit them, I'll put them up. Okay, so today's video, we talked about your idea phase, from idea to now getting your seed round. And we talked about some language you probably need to keep in mind: your customer acquisition cost, lifetime of the customer, and then your minimal viable product. Those are things to keep in mind when you're looking to build a tech startup. And understand that investment or having an investor, it's a people's business. I swear to you, it's a people's business. Generally, someone knows somebody. So make sure you put yourself out there, talk to people, build some rapport and build some relationship. You never know who you shake hands with today can be your investor 2 years from now. Okay, which has been the case for me. All right, so again, I'll stop here. I hope you enjoy the video. Again, my name is Mike, and my hope is to document how you build a startup, successful startup. All right, so until the next video, I'll catch you later. Peace.